Alright guys, so I have to say after yesterday's video and reading a lot of the comments, I planned on taking a break for a little while, but to be honest, I was kind of inspired by, conversing back and forth with you guys, and it just kind of pushed me to want to create today's video. This is something I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and what I'm going to do is just take the most popular earbuds, or at least the ones that are more mainstream, the ones that you see in stores, and try to describe them by comparing them to an artist or a band and just try to describe them in a different way. So we're gonna try this. Who knows if it's gonna work? And if it does work, we're gonna definitely try to continue this on and maybe cover some of the lesser known brands. But let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So the first pair that we're gonna try this with is the Apple AirPods. And the artist that I think best describes the AirPods is Drake. It's one of those artists that was extremely popular for a good span of a time. Everybody knew who they were. You could just say the name and they immediately knew what you were talking about. But the popularity has kind of faded over time. It's not as popular as it once was. It's a name that people still know. It's just kind of faded due to oversaturation. It was just too much all at once, and it became something that people kind of steered clear of because everybody had them. And that's kind of how I feel about Apple's AirPods, which means the Apple AirPods Pro I want to compare to the Beatles. Now, I know some people are going to be offended by this because the Beatles are one of the world's probably most well-known band, and that's kind of how I consider the AirPods Pro. Everybody knows what that is, but just like the Beatles, it is a product or a band that I can enjoy at times, but I don't necessarily consider myself a huge fan of. I'm not saying that it's overhyped, it's just not for me. And I can respect why it's good at some of the things that it does. It's just one of those that I haven't really been able to get into. Now, the next one on the list is probably my personal favorite out of all the mainstream earbuds, and that is the Sony WF-1000X-M4s. So it only makes sense to compare them to my favorite band of all time, which is Metallica. And the reason I'm comparing these two is Sony is a brand that's been around a while. They've been around in the audio market for a long time, kind of like Metallica, and I consider them to be the master of mainstream earbuds, kind of like Metallica's master of puppets. It just seems to kind of fit. And that Sony's can just be diverse in a way. They've changed over time. They've done, bass headphones. They've done, high-end studio headphones. They've tried different things, and no matter what they seem to try, it always seems to work. And that's kind of, again, how I feel about Metallica. You can go back to the thrash metal days where everything is just fast and heavy. And they went to the Black Album where it was more mainstream and pop. They switched over and used producer Bob Rock, which changed everything. And now they are still basking in the glory that they had back then, and they're still a master at their craft. And I think that best describes the Sony WF-1000X-M4s, which I guess kind of makes the Sony Link Buds like Megadeth. It's just a lesser known version of the XM4s. They do things very similar, but just maybe not as well known. And then the next one is the Samsung Galaxy Buds. Now, I would compare the Galaxy Buds to Taylor Swift. I think it's a very popular brand, just like Taylor Swift is obviously a very popular artist, but I think everything is kind of safe. You know what you're getting. It's not anything that's overly flashy. The music itself is very similar from one to the next, and I think that kind of describes the Galaxy Buds. I don't think there's anything that just makes them stand out. I'm not saying that it's definitely not worth the higher praise that they get, because I think the Galaxy Buds are a great product. Same thing, I think Taylor Swift is actually a great artist, but it's just, safe. But I think that's where that makes the Galaxy Buds Pro a little more comparable to Miley Cyrus. I would say that the Galaxy Buds Pro are a little more diverse, kind of like Miley Cyrus is a more diverse artist than Taylor Swift. There's just more range. She tries a bunch of different genres, and you're just getting a little bit more when it comes to that artist. And I think with the Galaxy Buds Pro, getting noise canceling and Dolby and all this other features, you're getting more with that one than you do with the regular Galaxy Buds. Now, the next one is the Google Pixel Buds Pro. Now, I want to compare them to my favorite current band, which is Dance Gavin Dance. And the reason for that is they have gone through different changes. The original ones had that wire that went around the back of the neck. Not all changes have worked better than others. And I think they've finally reached the height of what they're capable of. Same thing that I feel about Dance Gavin Dance. I think they have just found what works. They have put it all together, and it's just a very well-polished product. But it is extremely diverse. They can do things extremely heavy. They have really good melodies. They can scream and growl and just hit like heavy music, but also more melodic. It's just a very well-rounded earbud that I think is finally living up to its full potential. Now, the next one on the list, this one's kind of a different comparison, is going to be the Bose QuietComfort earbuds. Now, this is the newer ones. I would kind of compare them to Beethoven. I think they're made to be classy, and Beethoven is classical music, and I think it's kind of made for a higher class. And another thing is Beethoven later in his career actually ended up going deaf, which I think kind of matches noise canceling, kind of like the Bose QuietComfort earbuds. But Beethoven was also known to get a little crazy at times. And I feel like Bose with the QuietComfort earbuds is one of those that, can look polished and look refined, but also still handle genres that you wouldn't think are made for it. I mean, it handles metal extremely well. It is a fast earbud. It has really good thump in the low end, so it's also very well matched with hip hop and pop and things like that. So, it's pretty diverse in its own end. It's basically kind of one of those don't judge a book by its cover type of product. Now, the next pair is going to be the Beats Studio Buds. Now, the greatest comparison, in my opinion, to these is the group Outkast. It's one of those that it's a brand that a lot of people have known about. Just the name alone would already grab people's attention, but they're very diverse in themselves. And the Beats Studio Buds work very well within Apple's ecosystem, but they're also made to work really well with Android. So they're not just tied into like one genre. Same thing with Outkast. They didn't always do hip hop. They really did stretch out and try some different things and some different genres. And Andre 3000 is one of those artists that I think is just a genius. And I think you can already perceive what he is and what he's capable of just because you hear Outkast and you think he's just a hip hop artist. And in my opinion, he's more than that. And I think the Beats Studio Buds are more than just another pair of Beats earbuds. It's a very fast earbud, and Outkast is known to be very fast at times. In fact, Bombs Over Baghdad is probably one of those hip hop songs that has the most beats per minute. But they are also known to just be bass heavy and can go really slow at times too, which again, I think matches the Beats Studio Buds. Now, when it comes to the Beats Fit Pro, I would compare these more to Eminem. I think they're probably the best at what they do as far as when it comes to a fit or workout style earbud. They're definitely fast, definitely quick. The noise canceling on them can kind of just like isolate you from the things around you. And sometimes if you're listening to Eminem and you're really trying to hear lyrics and try to pick apart things, it can kind of isolate you from everything else. It can make you focus a little bit more. So I really do think that Eminem kind of best describes the Beat Fit Pros. Now let's just move over to Skullcandy earbuds in general. I think that comparing them to the Ramones is probably the best way to describe the brand as a whole. They're known to be edgy. They're known to be different. It can definitely be a little messy at times. And I don't think anything is really well polished. It's just made to really just output music and you just take it however you want to. That was kind of the Ramones attitude, and I think that matches Skullcandy's earbuds. So guys, I know this was definitely a different video, which again is the point. I wanted to do something different on the channel. Obviously it still ties into earbuds, and maybe it makes you go and listen to some of these artists. I want to find a way to incorporate my love for music and the passion that I have behind covering earbuds, which is what you guys are interested in. So we're going to try this from time to time. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this video, and maybe an artist that you would compare some of these products to. And if you did like it, let me know, because I think we can really continue on this series and make it very interesting, especially with the more lesser known brands. But guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.